Hello and welcome to another one of our off-track small talk episodes. Today we are going to feature 55 Craig Finnikin. Hello Craig.
Hello.
So we're going to go out in two parts. Part one, we're going to look at Craig's career so far, and part two will focus on the reveal of Craig's brand new Shale car for the 2022 season. You live in a very beautiful part of the world.
It is when it's like this, yeah. But give it half an hour if it starts raining and snowing, you'll regret that.
And we are on the way to Buxton, and that tends to happen when we go there.
Yeah, but I think you might be lucky today.
Do you reckon?
One off.
I had my shorts on earlier on, but I have got changed just because.
I thought the shorts would bring the rain anyway.
Right, so we're talking to you. So Smith, Wayman, Finnikin, all names synonymous with Bristol Formula 1 stock car racing.
Yeah, I think, believe it or not, I think the Finnikin name has been there the longest. And it's just all you brought up through the family, and you'll tend to do it. Yeah. And you still enjoy doing it, so you carry on.
Was it from literally day one? Can you always remember stock cars?
Pretty much, yeah. I always led to believe, I think I was born on a Thursday and went to Hartlepool on a Saturday.
Right, okay.
So literally from day two.
Day two, yeah, day two.
I've done racing, yeah.
But it's great that you've got that long history in the sport, and like I say, it's just synonymous with stock car racing.
It is, yeah, and I did have 12 months off while I was doing a house beforehand, and I was itching to get back out again. Yeah. It's like this year, I was all right until I went to Northampton the other week. Right, okay. When the Formula 1s and Minis were on, and like, I've pushed even harder to try and finish my car. Yeah. But I'm just running out of time and parts as well. Yes.
Yeah, we'll come to new car shortly. So we didn't spare any expense on these kind of productions. We've got like a team of researchers. It's just Nigel Anderson, to be fair. He's told me you are 20 years this year in Formula 1.
Probably, yeah, believe it or not.
Yeah, that is a long time to commit to the sport, like.
It is. People come and go in the sport, but you do find the people that have been in the family name, been in it the longest, are still there now. Yeah, it's back to the same Wayman, Smith, Finnikins, Scrivens. Yes, and they're all still doing it. Yeah, we must be mad.
But you still live in a beautiful part of the world, so that's all right. Was the plan always to come into Formula 1? Because obviously you did Formula 2s and I think Minis before that. Was the aim always Formula 1?
I think everybody's aim was, but at the time my dad was racing Formula 2, so I did Formula 2s with him. And I think it could have actually been my 18th or 18th birthday. I ended up racing my cousin's car, Stuart's, at one Coventry meeting. Yeah. And I think that was it. I got home, all my Formula 2 stuff was for sale. And I think it did take me probably 2 years then before I got my own Formula 1. Yeah. And started off then. So what was it that made you happy in Formula 2s, you get into Formula 1, what was it? It's just that sheer initial power and noise. Yeah. And you just still love it today. Yeah.
So Formula 1 does have a huge following. Got a recognisable surname. And I asked Stuart Smith Jr. this question around: did you feel any kind of pressure on your shoulders? You've been a third generation racer. You've got your dad's won world final. Did you kind of feel a bit, people are going to be looking at what I'm doing?
Yeah and no, but it's once you've done that first big world final, it's just another race. Okay. It might just sound a bit harsh, but it's just another race. You sort of get on and enjoy it as much as every other race. Yeah. And just live with it. Yeah. So
you mentioned world final. You have won all of the sport's major championships. Which one are you most proud of?
All of them, really. Okay. It's probably the European, because it's always the one that's sort of defined me, I should say, because it's always been on tarmac. Yes. Although tarmac car was pretty good years ago, but it's just hard to find the time to do both properly. And I thought, well, as soon as I clinched the European, I thought, well, that's all 4 of them done. Yeah. Well, then we might start again and try again now. Yeah. Okay.
But it's a great accolade, because people, some drivers never win a final in their career, but to have all 4 championships under your belt.
Yeah, it's amazing. Even to win a race now, it's hard work to win a race. Yeah. Because there's that many fast cars and good drivers now on track. Yeah. And they can all drive now. Yeah. Apart from the odd one, but everybody's as fast as each other. It's just consistency.
Yeah. And track time, isn't it?
Track time.
Track time. You won your first meeting final in 2014 at Kings Lynn. This is all Nigel Anderson's stats, so don't frown, because it's telling me on my piece of paper. Kings Lynn 2014. Your next
2014 or 2004?
2004. 2000. That's my typing.
Yeah.
That's my typing.
We can say 2014.
That's 2004. The next 3 were all on tarmac, and then there was a massive gap until 15-year gap until you won a final on tarmac again at Buxton. The success in between predominantly came on Shale. So why was that, do you think?
I think it's probably back then I just found something that nobody else had got on tarmac.
Yeah.
That's what I'll put it down to anyway. Then everybody caught me up.
Right. Okay.
And probably the last 8 years I have shied away and spent more time on Shale purely because of time-wise with work and everything else. And I sort of only do the tarmac meetings when I had to do.
Yeah.
And we had a very, very wet Buxton. And luckily enough, with not being far away from Buxton, the car was loaded up on a Friday night. I actually unloaded the car and I spent another 4 hours in the shed altering the car because I knew how wet it was.
Yes.
And
so local knowledge.
It was local knowledge.
So why that success on Shale? Were you kind of like, right, do you enjoy Shale more, I guess, or is it just that time aspect? So I want to focus on that.
I do enjoy Shale more, yeah. I just purely enjoy driving the Shale a hell of a lot more. And time-wise, the car has got to be right, but it hasn't got to be exactly like a tarmac car. You know, a tarmac car, if you don't put 100% into it, you may as well stay at home.
Yeah.
But I'll hopefully later on this year and next year, we'll be back on tarmac again.
Good. Okay, we'll talk about that in a bit. I like it. So this is teasers. I think you're very good at this. It's very good. So you're gonna, part 2 is around looking at your new Shale car and revealing that. You want a small number of drivers that have always built their own cars, and you've done that from the outset. Yeah. Was that a conscious decision? This is what I want to do. Yes,
because I sort of, if you go to somebody else, you're giving all your ideas to somebody else.
Oh, okay.
But no, it's just always been the same. You can spend a bit more money then on something else to do with the car.
Yeah.
In my eyes, buy your time and labour, because if you actually worked out the man hours in building a car, there's a lot of money in man hours.
Yeah.
So then you can afford to put it on a bit better stuff and do stuff different ways.
Yeah. Do you enjoy that aspect of it? Because some people go, I like racing, but I enjoy the building and the tweaking.
Yeah, I do actually enjoy building the car. It's the finishing off of the car.
Yeah.
Of wiring it all, piping it all, and getting it all to look good. You can actually build a rolling chassis if you've got everything there, and about 3 weeks of night solid.
Yeah. Just those last little bits.
It's the last little bits that take all the time. Well, I think back in when I built my last tarmac car was to defend the British at Buxton. I think I built the whole car, and I finishing work at like 6-7 o'clock at night till 2 o'clock every morning. Then started on my car. Yeah. Built it in 3 weeks.
That's impressive.
Painted, ready to go.
Very good.
Bar sound right.
Yeah.
And then wrote it off in 3 laps.
Oh, that was the back straight biggie with Dan Johnson and Matt Newsom. Yeah. Did that hurt, by the way? Because I see that a few times every now and again on the internet.
At the time, it didn't hurt, but I knew I'd done something, but I was busy working away at work the week later. I was in a bit of pain, but never sort of bothered.
Yeah.
And I'd just pulled something wrong on a bar, just tightening something up. And I think that finished me off. I was actually rolling around the garage floor then and found out that I broke my ribs.
Yeah. Oh, did you? So, okay.
I was in a few weeks off racing.
Yeah, that's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. But I do remember that because it is one of those, you have big crashes in stock cars, but that was one of them. It was up there, but everybody seemed okay after. Yeah. I mean, cars weren't okay, but...
No, but I think I did actually fix my car, and I went the week after, and then after 2 races of Ipswich, I realised that it was too painful, and I had a few weeks off.
Yeah, sensible. Good. We've mentioned tarmac racing. We've mentioned you building cars. We can't go any further without mentioning the Tilter car that you debuted in Birmingham. Can't remember the year, but it was a standout moment for lots of people, that car.
Yeah, the biggest problem I got with that car, took a bit of designing and messing about with, but I suppose for the first one, it was a little bit too heavy for a tarmac car.
Okay.
It was quite high up on the weight. But then you look at it now, I probably should have persevered with it a bit more, because a lot of people have now done a very, very similar idea.
Yeah.
And got them working. But I did think about building another one. We'll see.
Okay. So how many meetings did you do with it? Because didn't have a long career, did it, that car?
I did more than what I thought.
Okay.
To be honest. Then something went wrong with the engine with it, so we took the engine out, and then I never ever put it back together then.
Right. Okay.
And then it just sat in the yard. Oh, we'll borrow it off that car. We'll borrow it off that car. And now it's sat on a container down at work, just a bare chassis.
Does it exist still?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, it's still there.
Good.
People keep coming in the yard and taking pictures of it.
Do they?
Might just put a plant in it soon. And
Is it like Dave Mellors that was on the garage in Ashbourne that time? That became a famous landmark, didn't it?
yeah, it's still there. So.
So you built your cars for yourself. You've built cars for a couple of other drivers, I think, over your time.
Yeah.
Has that been something that you've thought about doing more of?
It's the time aspect, to be honest. I'm supposed to have 3 on the go now for other people, but I started them last year and they haven't got very far yet.
Okay.
But I do it when I've got the time. I don't mind doing it. But sometimes then I lose the enjoyment out of my own racing.
Yes.
I suppose it's a different thing if I was doing it for a living, but I'd just do it as a hobby.
Yeah.
And just help other drivers out as well.
Yeah. It seems to be the likes of sort of Lee, Matt, Frank, they're kind of building cars for people, are very successful, and it kind of, yourself on Shale, I'm sure the drivers going, I want a car like Craig's because that's fast, that's going to win me races. So I didn't know if people kind of knocking on your door going, build me one, please.
I've had a few, but I did have a few over winter. Like, can you build me a car for the beginning of the season? I says, yeah, as long as your season's 2030, I'll build you one. But it's just finding the time.
Yeah, of course.
Because there's 3 of us that are racing here, trying to keep all 3 cars going.
Yeah, of course.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So.
We've mentioned 20 years in the sport and sort of building cars and so on. What's the biggest change you've seen in that time?
That one's hard to say, really.
Yeah.
Because it's just tracks that come and go, to be honest, is the biggest change. There's a few new faces coming to the sport that you see, but a lot of original people are still there.
Yeah.
I suppose the biggest change that we've seen is losing tracks.
Yeah.
But then, if you go back 35 years, all the tracks that we've lost, but nobody was on social media gossiping about it. You just come to the next season, that track's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Which I suppose that's the biggest change you see with the sport. But luckily enough, with Bradford, we've got Russell and Graham pushing, keeping the job going.
Yeah. And it might create that snowball effect. I mentioned it a few times that Bradford's a fantastic venue. You can take people there, you take sponsors there, and then does that snowball into actually we can people can go to Sheffield, or maybe we can build another track somewhere potentially, because there's the desire for people to go and watch stock cars.
That's it. I think it is still probably one of the biggest followed oval sports in the country, well, and Europe, and New Zealand. You've only got to look what happened last week, and the amount of people that was there was unreal to go and watch that.
Yeah. No, we are very lucky to be involved in stock cars, absolutely, because it's a fantastic thing. Right, top drivers in the sport have rivalries, right? We kind of see it throughout. You don't seem to have kind of generated a big rivalry with anybody in particular, which is quite surprising, because you have been at the top of the sport for such a long period of time. Why do you think that is?
I treat drivers how they treat me.
Okay.
If they race fair with me, I race fair with them, and it's always been the same. It's like me and Tom especially will race around the outside of each other just for a laugh. We did a Northampton, I think it was this time last year. I think we spent the whole Grand National race just driving around, trying to drive around the outside of each other. And when you've got respect for drivers like that, you live to race. But then when it comes to a big race, you move them out the way, because they know it's for the big race, for the win.
Yeah.
And I sort of treat people how they treat me. If they want to drive me up the fence, I'll do the same to them.
Yeah,
so
excellent.
Or if people want to turn right on you down the straight, it happens back.
Yeah.
But if they start it, I'll finish it.
Yeah, I like that. So. Good. Just in terms of your driving style, when you're watching you in a race, you just seem to appear towards the end. You seem to kind of go under the radar, and then all of a sudden, towards the back end of a race, you're there.
It's what I tend to find, especially racing on Shale all the time. Everybody sets off in a big rush.
Yeah.
Well, you no need to. Just let everybody calm down for a lap or two.
Yeah.
And then start picking cars off bit by bit.
Have you been listening to John Lund like 20 years ago?
Probably not. I'm not far behind his age, but it's back to when you've been in the sport for as long as you have, you learn to watch and see how the job's done a little bit. And I think my best year I had is when I won the points, because I set off dead last every meeting. I think I used to do 5 laps tootling round before I had to set off.
Yeah.
And by the time that everybody burnt the tyres out and worn themselves out,
you sat there, happy days?
Happy days, we'll set off now.
Brilliant. My final question is like an off-track staple. So you can have a match race, yourself and 3 other drivers from any era. Who are you going to choose?
To be fair, that's a difficult one. I did look at that question when you sent it me.
You're not supposed to say that, because then everybody knows my secrets now.
Yeah, forget that, but
Yeah.
I think it'd have to go back to the era of like my granddad and Ronnie, who sort of did a lot for the sport back then.
Yeah.
Just to say that I've raced with them.
Yeah.
And you can't say no, like chuck my dad in there as well, which I have sort of got more podium finishes now than him, but we're getting there. But then you look a bit further on, you look at like Stu Smith and Mike Close.
Yeah.
You'd like to have a race with them, but then look at the modern day of Tom and Ryan and Frank.
Yeah.
You've all got your top so many drivers that you'd love to be on track with all of them.
Yes.
And it would be hard to pick 3, but I think if I did have to go, it'd be my granddad, just for the sake of doing it, and Ronnie Rogers, because they were the local drivers in the area. And you'd probably then go like Chizzy as well.
Yeah.
Just to go and say you've done it.
Yeah. Can you say I've raced against these greats of the sport? Yeah. Craig, thank you so much for talking about your career and kind of some of the real highlights. Come back tomorrow where we will reveal Craig's brand new car for the 2022 season.